All right, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, it's me again, Muhammad Gifari, and today I would like to give my presentation in chapter 3 and 4 summary. This is my assignment with Melanie Marlina in student literature class, and I'm from NK Literature Class 2019. All right. So the first one is the chapter 3 and chapter 4. Next, okay. What are the first chapter and the second chapter? So the first chapter is a comparative literature and decoloniality. And the second chapter is, and the fourth chapter is world literature as comparative practice. So the first one, the chapter 1, is about comparative literature and decoloniality. So before we start to what is the relation between comparative literature and decoloniality, I will explain about what is decoloniality itself. So the decolonial view itself includes various forms of critical theory, and in academic scholarship, he studies and analyzes class disparities, gender studies, ethnic and racial studies, and regional studies. So decoloniality is also considered to study to analytic and practical aspect of options to conform and break the chain of attachment of the colonial power matrix or modernity matrix, which is often rooted in colonialism. So, what is the role of decoloniality in comparative literature? Interestingly, while the concept of decoloniality emerged progressively in Mignolo's writings, reference to comparatism fade away, though more slowly than reference to comparative literature. Are these phenomena unrelated? In his 1991 article, Canon and Corpus, in this article, comparative literature is still a discipline that may be applied to literatures in colonial situations, provided that two caveats are taken into considerations and two questions posed. As for caveats, Mignolo pinpoints that on one hand, comparative literature is a European invention rooted in comparatism that emerged during the expansions of the Portuguese and Spanish empires, when the transition from three major languages of scholarship, Greek, Latin, and Hebrew, to Western national language and national literature as result of the configuration of nation states took place. On the other hand, in contrast to the specific location of comparative literature and invention of Western Europe, comparative processes are universally shared by human beings. As for the two questions, a transfiguration of comparative literature requires, according to Magneto, one to wonder first what would be comparatists compare, and second, who is comparing what and from where. Right. So we finished about the chapter 3. We move to chapter 4, the word literature as comparative practice. So, variations of worldwide literature. Word literature implies a definition of the word on the historical of concept of literature. See also on the plurality of words. See Hayat. God used the phrase as a counter to national literature, which especially in early 19th century Germany had been formulated as the declaration of cultural independence from The then current models of neoclassicism, mainly French adaptations from the Greeks and Romans. Thus, thus a purportedly universal set of genres, styles, and standards has already been displaced by national particularity and will soon in Goethe's eager, imagining give way to wood literature, not a space of sameness, but an exchange among different traditions. So this in this chapter, we learn about the school and the library itself. In two locations, however, gaps emerge between the patterns of circulation and things circulated. One is in the classroom, the other is in the library. In the classroom, we see that although the canon of word literature is always expanding, the number of hours devoted to it in a semester or an academic career do not have the same flexibility. Word literature is one of those concepts that without examples is inane, but once it has begun to be understood through examples, it runs the risk of becoming hostage to this or that prestigious example. So the only way to make progress in understanding the phenomenon to which the phrase refers is to keep on adding concepts, letting them cancel out or reinforce the influence that they may severally have on the general concept. Choosing the core example of program of research or teaching in word literature may be the most significant intervention the researcher makes, but that example must be followed with others. The more challenging and resistant, the better. So that's all about my presentation from chapter 3 and 4 summary. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and see you in the next assignment.